This is episode number 58 of the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer Livestream podcast. My name is attorney Alexander Napolin. I'm joined by my co-host, attorney George Boito, and today we're discussing people who are scared, injured workers who are scared of filing workers' compensation claims, and we're going to go through some of the reasons why people have the fear of filing a claim with their employer and their insurance carrier, and dispel some of the myths that surround these fears. So if you're out there and you've been injured at work and you're online and you're searching, how do I file a claim or should I file a claim? You're going to want to check out the discussion that George and I have put together so that to kind of learn more about all these issues that are going on. But remember, it's not legal advice. It's general information only. If you need legal advice, you need to consult with a lawyer, because you can only get legal advice after giving the specific facts and circumstances to a lawyer and getting direct feedback from that lawyer. If that's you and you've been injured in California, dial our Injury Helpline. That's 844-984-8414, and we'll give you a free consultation to help give you the specific legal advice and guidance that you need to make the right choice. So, George, why are people so scared? What are some of the myths? What are we looking at here?
Alex, there's different reasons why people are scared, and I've come across a lot of them. Sometimes they are just afraid to cause any waves. They're afraid to be a problem, be that problem employee. I've seen it to where people are legitimately injured and they need medical assistance and they need medical help and they need their benefits. They need to file a claim, but they just, even after speaking to them and explaining to them why they need to do all these things, they just won't, because they don't want to cause problems. Sometimes these employees feel that if they file a claim, they are suing their employer. Now, we had a good video on this. I don't remember the number for that video, but maybe we could put it the description and the link.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the description of why a workers' compensation claim is not a lawsuit. So
right.
It's something, another good resource you can watch in addition to this video.
Right. So they feel like, you know what, I've had this job for a long time. I need to be loyal to them. And if I put a workers' comp claim in, I'm suing them and it's going to come out of their pocket. In that video, of course, we say that's not the case. But I also like to tell people, for a long time, I thought I shouldn't take any vacation. I shouldn't take sick time. I shouldn't take days off because I felt bad for my employer. Who are they going to get to cover me? Listen, when you've been injured, the only thing you should think of is your recovery, your family, and your future. Don't think about how it's going to affect your employer. They'll be all right. They've done business before you. They'll do business after you. And trust me, they're more concerned about their business than they are about you. So you need to be concerned about, once again, your treatment, your family, and your future, right?
That's what workers' comp is for. It's
right.
to help you get better so that you can be a better employee and protect your future.
Right. Right. Because it's not going to do anyone any good if you continue to work injured and it only gets progressively worse to where now it's a real bad injury. Now it's a lot of years of untreated injuries that are going to compound. So you definitely don't want to hold off just because you don't want to be a problem, right?
Right. I mean, a lot of people, they feel like they shouldn't report their claim to their employer and then they lose their rights because of that fear.
Right.
And, employers understand. And if they don't, you might want to reconsider who you're working for.
Right.
In my opinion. I mean, if you've been injured at work and you have the fear that your employer is going to retaliate against you, there are laws in place that protect you.
Of course. Yeah.
The American with Disabilities Act, here in California, the Fair Employment Housing Act prohibit discrimination if you have a disability and need an accommodation. And also, there is Labor Code 132A, which protects injured workers in the event their employers discriminate against them for filing a workers' compensation claim or making known their desire to file a workers' compensation claim.
Right.
Because sometimes the employer doesn't let you file a claim. One of the big red flags that I see that our viewers should watch out for if you're out there and you're concerned is your employer even offering you that claim form.
Yeah. So when you talk to your employer and you say, hey, listen, I'm injured, I need to go seek medical treatment, and they don't offer you that form, that is a red flag. That's a good point, Alex. Now, let's jump from the beginning all the way to the end, and we'll cover the middle. But some people are actually scared about their future employment. Maybe not even this employer. Since we talked about this employer, let's talk about maybe fears about future employers where, hey, if I put it forward a workers' compensation claim and then I need to look for a job, now no one's going to hire me because I've already had a workers' compensation claim. And I don't think that's a good reason to not file a workers' compensation claim. Once again, Alex mentioned certain laws that protect you from that type of treatment. Employers are not allowed to discriminate, or even future potential employers are not allowed to discriminate against you because you've had a workers' compensation claim.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I just mentioned, hey, maybe you shouldn't be with that employer anymore if they're going to discriminate against you for being injured at work and needing time to heal.
Right.
You also need to understand that future employers, that you're protected from discrimination for having disabilities or having had a workers' compensation claim in the past. You can't be discriminated against for having that. It's like, can you do the job or can't you?
Yeah.
So, that's a fear that a lot of people have, is I will be discriminated against in the future if I file this claim. Well, you might be, but it's against the law.
It's against the law. Now, I will note that employers are very crafty, right? They want to make sure that they cover their bases. So they might ask you questions in a roundabout way that will show if you've been injured, or maybe if you had any potential limitations, such as they might request a physical if their job's going to be really physically exhaustive, or they might even ask questions like, can you lift past 30 pounds? Can you lift past 50 pounds? How much can you stand? Or do you have any problem? They'll ask questions that are not direct questions to if you've had a workers' compensation claim, but they will show them whether or not you might have had one or not.
Right. And I think that injured workers need to understand that if they don't get the benefits that they need, if they don't stop doing that job that they can no longer really do, and they don't get their payout now, those fears, they don't go away. Those limitations that you have, they don't just go away. So you need to look at your fears, and you need to accurately identify them. Is it a fear of filing the claim and having to go through the process, or are you really just concerned about your health and your future?
We've kind of set the tone for why people are mostly afraid, scared to file a workers' compensation claim, although they shouldn't be, and they should put their health and their future first. But let's go through 10 reasons and discuss them really quickly. And some of those are a little bit of what we talked about, but we'll go through 10 reasons real quick, like a lightning round. So the first reason is a fear of losing their job. And you discussed this, Alex. It was a really good. You shouldn't be afraid of losing your job because it's against the law for someone to fire you because you've been injured on the job. Alex, you mentioned the 132A. That's discrimination for getting injured on the job. So there's recourses that you can use in order to protect your job if you want to file a workers' compensation claim. People might feel like their injury is not serious enough, but you don't know. You're not a doctor. You can't perform diagnostic testing on yourself. You can't do MRIs on your own. You can't do x-rays on your own. So until you see a doctor and they tell you what their prognosis is, and what they feel about your x-rays or your injuries or whatever the case might be, that's when you can say, this is how badly I'm injured. Because if you try to diagnose yourself and you try to, like come up with your own medical treatment, that's probably going to be a bad way to go, right?
Or if you go to your own doctors and you make a fib in order to get the diagnostic testing that you need. Like you say, you were injured playing sports or doing something on the weekend.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really the case, just because you're afraid of having to report the claim and getting treatment with your employer's workers' comp carrier. If that turns out to be a serious injury, or even if it's not a very serious injury, but it prohibits you from working, you're going to have a hard time claiming benefits because you've told a third party, which is the doctor, insurance, your own private health insurance, something else. I've seen it happen. I've seen insurance companies find out later, after subpoenaing medical records, different stories about how the injury arose, and I've seen claims denied on that basis. Now, you might be able to fight that. It's going to cause you a big headache.
Yeah.
So don't let that fear or that concern that it might be small or that it's maybe something you don't want to push stop you from reporting that injury.
Yeah. And we already talked about fear of losing your job, but there's also the fear of negative repercussions, which might be losing your job or not. It could also be maybe you think they might cut your hours. You might think they're going to treat you differently. You might think that bad things are going to happen. Once again, this is again covered by the laws that are going to protect you from anything like that happening. If it does, then you have different avenues and different resources that you could look to in order to help you out. But that shouldn't happen. Negative repercussions shouldn't be part of your claim at your job, right?
Right. And a lot of people, they also fear the amount of paperwork and the administration of the claim itself.
Right.
They don't want to deal with it. They're happy going to work. They're happy coming home. They don't want to have to go through all of that. And who could blame them? I mean, workers' comp's cumbersome.
Yeah.
But that's why you seek the advice of a lawyer. That's why you maybe get an attorney.
Right. Because the attorney fees are going to come out of whatever they're able to obtain for you, but they've done the work the whole way through. So they're actually doing the work for you. They file everything for you. They make sure that you're getting your benefits. They make sure that they review the medical reports. So they're on your side. And again, I think that having an attorney on your side far outweighs the cost of that 15% of the attorney fees.
It's not a lawsuit either. So a lot of people fear that they're going to make waves with their employer.
Right.
And yeah, you know, it could be uncomfortable, but I've had workers' comp in my firm, and it doesn't affect the employment relationship that I have with my employees.
Right. It shouldn't.
Because it doesn't. You still maintain that relationship with your employer, with the HR, with your supervisor. You give them the doctor's notes. The lawyer that you bring in is only dealing with the workers' comp insurance company to help with the administration of the claim. Now, if it turns into something else, there might be other causes of action, like you mentioned, George.
Right.
Like you could have a discrimination claim and other things that could come into play to protect you.
Right.
But for the most part, it's not a lawsuit. So the fear that people have, they don't know that it's not a lawsuit. They think they're, so cumbersome process, don't want to get involved. These are things, well, maybe you should consider hiring an attorney at that point.
Yeah. And listen, piggybacking off of Alex just mentioned, if your employer is a good employer and you have a good relationship with them, they should want to see you get better. If you have a good relationship with them, then you're not filing a ludicrous claim, a fraudulent claim. You're actually injured, and they should want you to go and seek the medical attention that you need and get better and then come back to work, right? So they should have also your best interest in mind because you're a valued employee. So you shouldn't have that in your head that it's going to cause problems between you and your employer. If you're actually injured, they should actually want you to get better, right?
And I do see that. Yeah. I do see employers who have encouraged their employees to come get a lawyer, and they come to me.
Yeah.
I've also seen employers who basically, treat you different once you get an injury.
Right.
But again, there's laws that protect you, and also you want to consider that it's not the employer you want to stay with necessarily. Maybe you need to get away from the employer.
Yeah. File
the claim, get a lump sum payment, watch episode number 57 about what makes a big workers' compensation settlement. Dial the Injury Helpline. That's 844-984-8414. Get a free consultation with us if you've been injured in California. We'll give you the legal advice that you need, alleviate these fears, and put you on track, get you in the right direction to make the best decision for yourself. And what did you say? For you, for your future, for your family.
Right.
Don't let the fear of all this stuff stop you from moving forward with a workers' comp claim, or at least seeking the advice of a lawyer who's going to help you make that decision.
Right. And the last one I want to talk about is people worry about cost, right? They say, well, I'm injured, but how much is it going to cost me? That means that they don't know their rights, because once again, and we've covered this in other videos, it's at no cost to you. If you're injured at work, you are entitled to medical treatment. You're entitled to benefits while you're at home getting better if the doctor says you need to do that, and you are entitled to compensation. So the cost shouldn't be an issue. Once again, we've talked about how it's more costly not to do something, and it's more costly to do it on your own. So that's why we're here. We're here to help you. We're here to take care of everything and make sure that you get what you deserve. And the cost to you is zero. The attorney fees are 15% at the end out of whatever we get for you. So once again, cost should not be an issue.
Yeah, a lot of people call my office, and I'm sure you've had the same thing. Well, how much do I have to pay out of pocket? Maybe you've had a divorce, maybe, and it's been very expensive, or maybe you've had a bankruptcy, you've had to come up with money. So if your fear is that you're going to have to come up with money, that's not the case. Watch episode number 57, which we did last week, on what makes a big workers' compensation settlement. The first thing we mentioned is having a lawyer on your side, helping you with all of these issues, helping you with all of your fears. One conversation can dispel all this stuff. We hope we've done this for you in this episode. But if you have more questions, you've been injured at work, you need to seek the advice of a workers' compensation lawyer. Dial the Injury Helpline. It's 844-984-8414. We'll give you a free consultation. If you've been injured in California, get you on the right track.